Segment 2 is September 7th, 2024, and I'm with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. We already had the introduction with the first part. That was 30 minutes, and now we're going to jump right into Chapter 17, the news of Renee's tragic death. What's the passcode, Mr. Jeckovich?
42165.
Okay, that's Mr. Jeckovich's basically his dog tag number, and we need this to open up the computer and read his book. It's 900 pages, and it's a beautifully written book dedicated to his mother and his wife. I talked a little about Anne, Jean, and Renee, but only in a casual, non-depth manner, and did not pursue it any further. I never brought her home to meet Mother, and I would never think of suggesting it. Phyllis hinted at times about it, but I would ignore her inquiries.
That's the one to go to school.
What's that?
She does want to go to school.
But she wanted to meet your mother, too.
Yeah.
And what'd you do? That's it, let it go.
I said I don't think that was appropriate, no.
So you just kept her away from your house, right?
Yeah.
And you also kept Renee away from your house, right?
Yeah.
And you also kept Jean away from your house?
Yeah.
I see.
Well, my mother would appreciate him.
Your mother what? She what?
Huh? She wouldn't appreciate him.
Okay. And you kept Anne away from your house too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. I would listen to her talk all about her parents. This is Phyllis, the lady that works at the mill with you. I would listen to her talk all about her parents and her older brother and her younger sister. I would be quite interested as she referred to them in glowing terms. Again, I noticed the great difference and disparity in my own family and why some families were more fortunate than others in respect. That's a good question. I would come away with the same reaction after listening to Anne, Jean, and Renee talking about their families. Also, when in the Army and listening to Post, Lape, and others talking about theirs. When Phyllis left at the end of the summer, I felt as I was losing a dear friend, and I missed her for the longest time. I had gotten so used to her being around that I almost forgot what it felt like to be alone once again. So I wish I had been more resourceful and resolute in my desire to attend school. For I knew now that it was the life I was desperately seeking. Phyllis made it abundantly clear to me, but I'm afraid it was too late. It was never too late. You're only in your 20s, for God's sakes.
And talking about spilled milk.
Yeah, I know. Along with everything I had to contend with at home. Did you ever use your GI Bill to go to college?
Who?
You.
I got the L60, never used it.
Well,
I started to use it, then my father passed away, and that ended that.
no time like the present. You're retired, you got plenty of free time, you're in good health. You could use that GI Bill right now. They pay for your whole college. And you'd love to be a student, believe me. And they'd love to have you for a student. Okay, let's see. Okay. Phyllis made it abundantly clear to me, but I'm afraid it was too late for me, along with everything I tried to contend with at home. I had spent my first Christmas at home since remaining from the service. It was no difficult when I left here 4 years ago. Granted, it was less stressful than my last Christmas in Ardennes, the Battles of the Bulge, but I would have given anything to revert to its former status. Whenever I think of Christmas at the Battle of the Bulge, I think of Patton, and you had a run-in with Patton, right?
Yeah.
Tell us what your run-in with Patton was about.
Patton, he's an eager beaver.
But what did he say to you when he seen you?
Huh?
What did he say to you?
He says, John, you're a good co-worker. You're a good partner for me. Keep hanging around me.
Okay. Because I know in 43 and 44, December, a lot of the generals thought the war was winding down.
Yeah.
And some of the generals would be at a country club for golf. Others of the generals would be at weddings. Another of the generals would be at this expensive gunsmith making pearl pistols and beautiful shotguns for trap or duck hunting. But Patton, he would have no part of that. Patton knew something was coming on big.
Yeah.
So these other generals thought it was winding down. They're 100% wrong, because right around the corner was the Battle of the Bulge, and that was one of the bloodiest battles during World War II, bar none. But Patton's thought was this. Patton's thought was complete opposite than all these other generals. He thought that his birthday is actually on Christmas Day, and Patton thought, what better time in my life on my birthday and Christmas Day to be killing some Germans. That's how he thought. That's how he thought. He goes, I got that asshole Hitler in a meat grinder, and I'm holding the handle, and I'm turning the handle. That's what he said about the S-wipe Hitler. Patton would do anything to personally face Adolf Hitler. That was his goal. He was running, crossing the Rhine.
A shooting match, yeah.
He would
a dueling, yeah.
He was crossing the Rhine, and Eisenhower was telling him, you don't have enough men to cross the Rhine. You don't have the right equipment. You don't have the right bridges. Patton didn't listen. He crossed the Rhine. He was told not to cross the Rhine into high enemy territory. But he was like thumbing his nose at all the other generals behind him. I beat everybody. Yeah. I crossed the Rhine. And Patton loved publicity. And the first thing he did, he's got his uniform on and tall boots and guns and all that stuff that Patton would wear because he's got a huge ego. And the first thing he did when he crossed the Rhine, what did he do?
Cross the Rhine?
Yeah, when he crossed the Rhine, what did he do? In front of all the cameras.
He put a shrine up.
Yeah, but then before he did that, he pissed in the shrine, and he had all the publicity from all the newsmen and everyone as he said, I'm going to piss in the Rhine now. I always wanted to do it. He was giving everyone the middle finger salute. He got to the enemy side, and all the other generals were still way back.
Yeah.
So Patton was extremely...
He's a good soldier.
Yeah, well, he was in World War I. He was in World War II. And he said, I'll catch him off guard like I did in Tunisia. And now if you go to Tunisia, he says, there's a field of 400 dead enemies because I caught them off guard. And I'll caught these guys off guard, the Germans too. But Patton was so determined to come one-on-one with Hitler, but it never happened because Hitler, at the age of 56, committed suicide. So that was never going to happen. That was never going to happen. That was never going to happen. I spent my first Christmas at home since returning from the service, and it did no different from when I left it 4 years ago. Granted, it was less stressful than my last in the Ardennes, Battle of the Bulge, but I would have been giving anything to revert to its former status. It was driving this Christmas period that I received some disturbing and heartbreaking news directly related to Renee. Renee was the artist in Paris that was a former nun. The radio and newspapers were commenting about the fighting of French Indonesia and how the Vietnamese were committing atrocities against civilians and missionaries. As the day went by, the news became more graphic, and there were also photos in the papers depicting some of the atrocities, showing women and children and nuns, and even missionaries being shot and tortured. Those people were animals. They were doing this to good people, animals. There's a special place in hell for them. It was not until they were specifically mentioned, Haiphong, that I knew something dreadful had happened to Renee. I could feel in my entire being, I sensed that I had lost her, and I felt indirectly responsible for her death. I should have been more forceful in our relationship, and perhaps she'd be alive today. I disagree with that, but it was distraught at the news, and the event would affect me for a long period, perhaps for the rest of my life. I did not tell anyone of my great sorrow, but just mourned silently and grieved for everything. I had once again lost, and I would recall the many times we were together and how I anticipated seeing her and found great joy in being with her. I did not expect this to happen, only thinking that she would have a fruitful and joyful life doing what she so much desired, and that was be serving Lord Jesus Christ. But let's talk briefly about Renee. You met Renee by accident when you were in a hospital in Paris, where a couple young boys were putting sailboats in the river, in a lake, and you became quite close to Renee. And you were in a hospital in Paris, and you would get leaves mostly, as much as you can, and you would go to Renee's house. What was Renee's house like? Could you describe that to us?
Marvelous, marvelous.
And what was in there that caught you?
She had a lot of pictures painted up. She had pictures painted of GI, German officers and everything.
SS?
Yeah. I don't know if they're SS, I don't know.
But they were officers.
Yeah.
And the whole studio was filled with paintings of SS and of tanks.
Well, you keep saying SS.
Officers, German officers.
Yeah. Well, she didn't have no enlistment up there, I'm sure.
No. But there's a lot of pictures of German officers left in Renee's apartment. What happened? Why don't you think they ever came back for their portraits?
They were either killed or they got shipped someplace else.
I see. And what was Renee's purpose of painting these German officers?
For information.
For information. And then Renee at that time was in the French resistance.
Yeah.
Did Renee take you to the headquarters of the French resistance?
No.
I thought you went down way down.
What?
The French resistance, you said they had a little desk down there. It smelled like hell.
Oh, you mean, yeah, for their headquarters. Yeah, resistance headquarters, yeah. That was almost a morgue. That's where the French put the dead.
Oh, I see. And then as you improved your health, you went about 30 miles north of Paris for a month or so, and that's for further rehabilitation. And that didn't stop you from seeing Renee. When you're 30 miles north of Paris for further rehabilitation, you would take a bus, and then you take a train, and then you take a taxi to see Renee, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So we had 3 modes of transportation to see Renee. You could probably write a movie about this. He takes a bus, he takes the train, and then he takes a taxi. I wonder how many boyfriends would do that for their girlfriends today. Who knows? I don't think many.
Well, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah, I know, but that's still a lot of work.
I couldn't grab an army jeep and take off with it.
No, that's still a lot of work. That's still a lot of work, I'm trying to say. That's still a lot of work. Yeah. And so you finally got shipped out. You spent as much time with Renee as possible. And at that time there, you had a clear shot through your shoulder. A sniper hit you, but it didn't go through the bone. And then you still have shrapnel in your leg from overhead bombs. Do you have shrapnel in your leg today?
Oh, somewhere else in here, it's cuff there.
What happens when you go to the airport? You have to go through the metal detector.
I got a little slip, so this is a wounded veteran, please excuse him.
I see. So after in the hospital for about 3 months in Paris and 1 month in rehab north of Paris, they basically told you if your index finger will pull the machine gun's trigger,
You're going back
if
to
you can
duty.
walk, what did they say you were?
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty.
Yeah.
So now you went right back to where you started from, to the front
My Walter, yeah.
for the Battle of Bulge.
Yeah.
Right back to where you started from, the Battle of Bulge. And then that was a very, very bloody war when you got back. A lot of people were killed, and a lot of people were
No longer around.
no, yeah, a lot of some went AWOL, and some were no arms, no legs. It was a bloody war. But the bottom line is that Hitler was run out, and the Battle of Bulge was Hitler's last effort to try to win the war. And Hitler said, "Listen, if I don't win the war, I'm going to take a lot of Americans out."
Put all some paratroopers in the last effort.
Tons of paratroopers came in. A lot died. Big percentages died before they hit the ground. Didn't they tell you when you were in the Battle of Bulge that there were some Nazis dressed up as
disguised as Americans.
As disguised as American?
Yeah.
To watch out for them.
Yeah.
Was that a big problem?
It wasn't the problem because you had a password and they gave the password, but when they gave the password and you started talking, they had an accent.
Yeah.
I asked them where they lived. I said Bronx, and he said, Bronx what? They didn't know where the hell the blocks was.
So as you talked to them a little bit more and you vetted them a little bit more, they couldn't keep up.
Yeah.
They couldn't keep up. They couldn't keep up. And then just getting back to the Battle of Bulge, there's a lot in between of that. But after the war was over, we're still talking about Renee. That's our primarily subject and concentration here. We're not going to talk about all the brutality in the war right now. But after the war was winding down and the Nazis got their ass kicked and Hitler poisoned his dogs and blew his brains out, you actually were able to go back to Paris. And as you went back to Paris, you went to Renee's house, and tell us what you found.
I found Renee there, yeah.
No, after you were at the Battle of Bulge the second time.
Oh, she's gone.
She was gone. Tell us how the house looked.
Huh?
Tell us what the house looked like.
The house looked modest and drab.
But was her painting still there?
The paintings were, nothing was there. The walls were bare.
And then who approached you when you were at Renee's house?
The housekeeper downstairs.
And what did he say to you?
He says, yeah, she left here almost 2 years ago. She says, I don't know where she went. She was distressed. And she says, I gotta get out of here.
Did she leave you a note?
No.
No note. Okay. So that was the end. You never knew.
That was it. I never seen her after that, no.
Until you later found out she was tortured and murdered.
Yeah.
Did you ever go back to Paris once you left the military?
As a civilian?
Did you? Yeah.
No.
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 Did you ever want to?
Never, no. I mean, this time of year, instead of during the wartime.
Yeah. No.
Well, I thought like a summer vacation, but I never did it.
Yeah. Maybe for the best.
Huh?
Maybe for the best. Paris has got a lot of crime, a lot of violence, and a lot of black market.
Yeah.
A lot of black market. A lot of black market.
Well, we can't do any better than the guys here. They're breaking windows down, breaking doors, and getting in those migrants.
Yeah, you're right.
The migrants are in the problem.
Well, let's just get off the subject, Renee, for a second. Let's talk about when your father came from Russia. He came the right way. He came through Ellis Island. He did everything he was supposed to do to become a citizen.
Yeah.
He went to all the classes, and when
The night school.
night school, and he took the test, and he got sworn in as an American citizen. But prior to that, he worked very hard in these dirty, filthy Russian factories, and he came here for a better life, but it was inbred to him that he was a very, very hard worker. And when your father, a single man, came to the United States, to Ellis Island, he did everything correct, 100% correct. He never had his hand out. He never would accept any benefit. The government could have given him anything. They didn't, of course, but they wouldn't accept it. That's the type of people they were. They worked hard. They don't accept handouts. They earned a living, correct? Yeah. They wouldn't accept handouts. Now you fast forward 80 years, and you have 20 million illegal aliens, and actually some of them are being flown to this country.
Yeah.
Flown to this country.
Yeah.
And many of them are,
boy.
Many of them are released from prisons. And why should that country have the burden? Give it to us. We're stupid people. We'll take them. And many of them are released from mental institutions. They're not the cream of the crop, let's say. So by comparing your father that came with nothing and was never offered nothing, which he would never accept anyways, because that's a true man, that's a stand-up man, he's not going to accept nothing. These people, 20 million of them, win the lottery when they come here. And when they come here, they get visas and MasterCards and thousands of dollars of this.
Yeah.
And just
new homes.
Well, in California, they're thinking about giving them $150,000 up front. But not only that, you read in the paper, see in the news every day, these illegals are murdering American people. They're raping the girls, they're raping the guy, they're raping everything.
Yeah. Breaking into houses.
Breaking into hospital. They're getting all this money for free during the day, and at night they're robbing you. They're such gluttons, such horrible people.
At night, keep coming in.
They came from 180 different countries. 180 different countries. 75 hotels in New York City are full of them. Some of them are 4-star hotels. Some of them are 4-star hotels. And the dumb government is paying like $1,000 to $2,000 a night. And the illegal aliens are still bitching. I don't like the food, I don't like the house. But 2 weeks ago they're living in the filth and who knows where, because they came from 180 countries and we have no idea what language most of them are speaking.
Yeah.
So there's such a difference that you have from Mr. Jeckovich's family, immigrating to the United States, stand-up people, build the country, make something out of the country, have children that will never accept nothing for free, and then you have these scumbags, 20 million of them, that will just take and take and take and take. And then interesting though, they're here in this country now, and they want to live their lifestyle. They want to put their flag up. They want to keep their customs and be here in Uncle Sam Peña. What did your father tell you about the language when you're at home?
He said, you're not talking Russian, you're not talking anything, you're talking American. So we didn't have an accent. Lewinsky's parents didn't do that. They talked Polak at home, and at work he got a bad accent.
Enough said. His father made sure that the whole family spoke English and became Americans and did everything an American did.
Yeah.
Like these people today are getting millions and millions, trillions of dollars with the handouts. They want to keep on the same terms that they had in Venezuela or Ecuador or Mexico. Horrible situation. If you want to become an American, you act like an American.
Yeah.
If you want to keep your Venezuela customs, get your ass back and go to Venezuela. Besides, we don't want you here anyways. So that was a good difference that you mentioned about how your father immigrated and compared to times. And when you're talking about different times, you had a beautiful laundromat and you had great people. And when you're at the laundromat that you owned, it was in Niagara Falls, New York, your laundromat was just a stone's throw from the falls, the actual Niagara Falls. And could you hear it roaring?
Oh yeah, too. Yeah, you heard after midnight. Yeah.
And what finally happened to that laundromat?
Well, they tore down the convention center there.
And was that convention center a success?
No.
It was a dismal failure. It was a dismal failure. When Mr. Jeckovich had his laundromat, he had his spit polished clean. He had good customers. The doors never locked.
Shovel the sidewalks.
Yeah, shovel. He made it perfect. He made it perfect. And the great minds, the fertile minds of the Niagara Falls government decided to put in casinos and convention centers, which was a dismal flop.
Yeah.
And as a result, Niagara Falls is no longer a city. Their population is so low, they're now considered a village.
Yeah.
And so they said they were to relocate you when they shuttered your laundromat. Where'd they want to send you?
Right.
When the city shuttered your laundromat for the Civic Center, where'd they want to send you?
They were going to send me up where the people they had wash machines. They lived a very good living.
So
I said, I can't go up there. I can't make any money up there.
So they sent you.
They just said that as a token gesture. That's all.
So they wanted you to go as a token gesture to probably the nicest section at the time in Niagara Falls, which was considered a DeVoe. I don't know if it's.
Yeah, but the times were changing. They were robbing stuff. I couldn't keep the laundromat open. I had somebody there all the time now.
But getting back to that, they wanted to send you to a very nice section of Niagara Falls. Everyone had a washer and dryer. What kind of business would you have done?
Except the laundry?
Yeah, with the new place, you would have no business.
Well, I would probably be something in building or something, woodworking or something.
No, but if you follow the advice of the government and they send you to go to this better section of town and everyone there owned a washer and dryer, you wouldn't have a business.
No, I would never. There is no section like that. There's no location like that.
And recently I read that the immigrants have broken into all the machines and coin machines of 45 laundromats in New York City and basically put the owners out of business. It costs a lot of money to regroup. So your time in the laundromat was a good time. People.
Yeah, I knew it was the best time, so I'm glad. I told her I'm glad. I told Dolphy it was glad we're out.
But listen, would you ever be successful opening a laundromat today?
No.
Why?
The culture wouldn't take it. The culture wouldn't take it. They got laundromats now, but they're occupied. They got people working there, and there's no business. There's no business.
So the sign of the times, people aren't as respectful.
People are buying their own laundromats, buying their own wash machines.
Yeah, so that wouldn't have worked for you, right?
So that's when the laundromats worked out.
Minutes, please.
4.
So we're on page 489 of the news of Renee's tragic death, and I wanted to know more about her last days, and I contacted their State Department to seek more information about Renee. Their only response was that it was a national French incident, and I should contact the French embassy. Did you ever contact the French embassy?
Go to the French embassy? No.
No, okay. Of course, they were not much help either. I was not a French citizen, and I was finally left with one memory of Renee and agonizing over what tragic end she might have had from her homeland. Steve, that's your brother, right? Steve's your brother?
Yeah.
Steve was home for the holidays, which added to my emotional upheaval. He was the last person I wanted to see after his traumatic ordeal with Renee. Of course, I did not mention anything about Renee. It was no interest to him. Besides, he would only revert to his mannerisms, which antagonized me, and I was in no mood for that.
Yeah.
Steve was impressed that I had a car, and shortly thereafter asked if he could use it to see his friends. He would take off with Jimmy Duncan and Ralph Engstrom and make the rounds with their old Boy Scout buddies. Although he did not drink to the extent that Lucky did, I knew he indulged, and I thought it was none of my business as long as he did not wreck my car before he went back to school. So you had a beautiful new car, a Pontiac, right?
Yeah, what?
A Pontiac you had, right?
Yeah, red, green cognac, yeah.
Yeah, 4-door or 2?
4.
And so your brother got back from school, and he let him use your car just so he could meet his old buddies.
Nah, not very often, no. No, he probably bought an old junk.
But would Lucky borrow your car too?
Borrow the car?
Would your brother Lucky borrow your car?
No.
But why would Steve allow to and Lucky wasn't?
No, Stevie didn't. Stevie would come home with his own car.
Okay. But he wasn't home long, and he went right back to school, right?
Who?
Steve.
Well, he don't come down here for a visit like Christmas and then go back to school.
And that was it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, actually, he's past school. He's some kind of a super salesman. He was in Florida, he was in Europe, and he got into trouble, and they dumped him.
Under 2.
So what happened to him in Europe?
I don't know. He got in trouble with women, or what the I don't know what the hell he got in trouble with. Pittsburgh plate glass.
Yeah, I heard that was a good place to work.
Yeah.
I heard that was a good place to work. Didn't he bring you? Wasn't he very generous? He brought you some big windows for your house.
4 windows in the house are still there.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
And they kept out the cold. They must have been extra thick.
Yeah.
How thick were they, like?
I would say they're double glazed, air gap. They're probably an inch and a half.
And did you install those windows yourself?
Yeah.
That was a big job.
Well, I had Lucky. No, I had Jake. I had Tom. Mostly Tom.
Yeah. That must have been very heavy windows.
Oh yeah. They weren't pegged in. They were mounted in with sealant, a plastic sealant. They never leaked or nothing.
At that house at 3063 Orleans Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York, you did most of the work yourself.
Oh yeah.
You put on a mansard roof.
Yeah.
45 seconds.
Mansard roof.
job?
Yeah.
Was that a big job?
Well, who helped me? Lucky, Steve. Tom helped me.
That was a big job, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's still there today.
Yeah.
It's still there today.
Yeah.
It's holding up well. It's holding up
Yeah, I
well.
seen a lot of scaffolds up there. They wouldn't go up. Lucky would. Tom wouldn't go up a scaffold.
Yeah. But that mansard roof is holding up today. It's still a very attractive looking house.
Now, see, I did all that stuff, but I still worked at Kimberly. I never missed a
And you
day.
had a laundromat on top of it.
And I had a laundromat on top of
Never
it.
missed a day, and you had a snowplow business.
Yeah.
So you were like your father, you were on the go all the
5
time.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.